Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Happy New Year to you all. Kicking off 2024 with my first video of the year, but it is going to be kind of a throwback to 2023, at least to the last month of the year. I'm going to be talking about my favorite albums that were released in December of 2023. I do this once a month at the end of every month. Typically when I do these videos, these lists, there's probably going to be about 15 to 20 albums that I talk about that stood out to me in a month. But for December, I was mostly focused on doing year-end stuff and then kind of taking a break from YouTube and just taking a break from exploring new music, kind of just spending time with a lot of older albums. So I don't have a huge list for you today. It's only around 10 albums. I'm sure there's a ton that I missed in December. So definitely let me know down below some albums that I may have missed that I should go check out. I did my top 50 of 2023 in early December. So at the time, I hadn't really listened to any of these other than a couple of them. So will any of these would they have worked their way into my top 50? I would say probably not. Maybe the top 2 or 3 would have been in the mix for the bottom end of my list. But honestly, at this point, I don't think I would change anything in my top 50. But nonetheless, there are still some solid releases here that I want to talk about. Some albums that I think you should definitely go check out. And then after this will be my last kind of 2023 video. You can expect some new stuff throughout the rest of the month of January and onwards for 2024. But enough rambling. Let's get into this. My favorite albums that were released in December. Okay, kicking it off, I'm going with Nyrst and the new album Vold. So this is some black metal from Iceland. It's got that typical Icelandic black metal style and sound. Think of bands like Mispronounce or Svartidauti or Odin, which I can't pronounce any of these bands, but I'm doing my best. But if you're into any of those bands, I'm sure you'll know who I'm talking about. And yeah, this just has that typical riffing style, very enjoyable album. Just cracked my list, haven't spent a ton of time with it. As you'll see as I go throughout these albums, I haven't spent a ton of time with most of these. This is not going to be my strongest monthly list because I just didn't dedicate enough time to it. But nonetheless, go check out all these albums. Moving this right along, up next is Troll with their new album Trolldom. So this is some symphonic black metal from Norway. Think like Dimmu Borgir. One of their members here used to be in Dimmu Borgir, so it has that typical Dimmu style. Makes sense. I will say this album's pretty good. It's decent. It's not necessarily blowing me away after a few listens, but nonetheless, if you're into that style of black metal, definitely go check it out. All right, up next, sticking with black metal. Most of the stuff I listened to in December is black metal, so almost this whole list is black metal. There's a couple exceptions, but yeah, let's keep it going. Sticking with black metal, up next is Ringare with the new album of Momentous Endless Night. So this time, this band is from USA. This is some atmospheric black metal, really brings in these large soundscapes, some ambient moments, major like summoning influence, and maybe even a band like Luster with more of those like ambient black metal moments, but then mixed with a band like Paysage d'Hiver, kind of all thrown together into really make their own style here. You really need to spend a lot of time with this album to let it really sink in. I have not had more than a few listens with this, so I really need to spend more time with it to really sink my teeth into it. But my first impressions of this album are very strong. Definitely suggest you go check it out if anything I just said sounds like it's up your alley. All right, sticking with black metal again, going with Eitrin and their self-titled album. This is a collaborative project that was made for Djavunksklockans Productions. This features Vinsval from Blessent Nord, as well as a couple other musicians that are on the label. So they kind of put together this project to promote the label and just to collaborate and put out a cool black metal project. This is very avant-garde style black metal. I mean, obviously, knowing Blessent Nord, you kind of know what you're in store for with the different kind of style. I will say, while musically, I really enjoy this album, the vocals don't really do it for me at all. It's not Vinsval doing the vocals here, and it kind of holds it back, in my opinion. All that being said, it's still definitely worth a listen. Go check it out. It's an interesting project nonetheless. Up next, I'm going with Hinsides and their album Hinsides, hors djavunksklockans urklang. I completely mispronounced that. I do not know how to say this album title. as usual, I will put all these bands and albums down below. This one especially, no idea how to pronounce it. So yeah, copy and paste it if you want to go check it out. This is some raw black metal from Sweden. This has just got like an old school, raw, stripped down approach, but it's got like this crusty edge to it as well. It's really aggressive. And like, this is just, it's very in your face and abrasive, but then these solos drop all of a sudden, and it's really cool because you have this really raw black metal, and then all of a sudden there's a really skillful solo being played, which doesn't necessarily always suit raw black metal, but makes it work here. It's a somewhat short album. All in all, if you like your black metal raw and in your face, definitely go check this out. You'll have a good time with it. Up next, going with Sylvan Awe and their album Pilgrimmage. Once again, more black metal, this time from Australia. This is really grandiose black metal. This is kind of the point in my list where I feel like these albums get a little bit better. The first ones I mentioned, I haven't spent a ton of time with, but from here on out, I do really enjoy these. I've spent a little more time with these ones. And this one, yeah, especially really adds this great atmosphere with keys. And there's even some hints of like some progressive elements throughout. And it's just got like these folky medieval touches in spots as well. I would say this is kind of a mix of genres or a mix of influences. Like if you like bands like Panopticon, of Siquier or Mugwa, and not that those bands sound really anything alike, but I can hear like different influences throughout this album. It sounds like they're inspired by those different styles of black metal, and they kind of combine it to make something very interesting, and it's just a really well done album. Go check out Sylvan Awe if you have not. All right, now we are into the top 5, my 5 favorite albums that were released in December. In 5th place, I'm going with Abduction and their album Tous, blessent, derniere. So this is some progressive black metal from France. This has that typical French black metal melodicism with kind of like that medieval edge. Think bands like Sunotfer or Vehemence. But then it really adds in a lot of experimentation as well, even like a touch of death metal stylings in places. This is a little bit uneven maybe over the course of its like hour runtime, but there are definitely some major standout moments here, and the riffs are great, the song constructions are interesting. Like I said, yeah, maybe it's a little bit overlong and not every song hits the mark, but when it does, it's really great. Definitely worth checking out. That's why I got it in 5th place. Up next in 4th. Finally, an album that's not black metal. Hey, there is a couple in my top 4 here that are black metal, but yeah, in 4th, Phobocosm with their album Foreordained. So this is some death metal from my homeland of Canada over in Montreal. When I say death metal, this does definitely bring in a very doomy vibe. I wouldn't necessarily call this death doom. It's more on the death metal side, but it's not fast-paced death metal. This is definitely full of slower, doomier tempos. They are probably big Immolation fans just with the amount of dissonance and atmosphere that they add to the music here. Like, it's crushing death metal, but this layer of atmosphere draped over top, and it's just really adds to like the aesthetics. You feel it throughout the album, and it's just really well done. Very solid album. Another one that I haven't spent enough time with, but the listens I have put in on it was easy to rank this very high on this list. This is a solid album. This is probably where on my list these would have been maybe in the mix to make my top 50. Would this have made it? Right now I'll say no, but I have not spent nearly enough time with this album as I did with the albums that were on my top 50. So in time, who knows, maybe this would have crept in. But yeah, definitely a very solid album that you should go check out. Up next in 3rd, I'm going with Vargrav and their new album, The Nighthold. So this is some symphonic black metal from Finland. Think for fans of bands like Emperor or Limbonic Art, but with that typical Finnish touch. Been a fan of this band for a while. Their previous album was really solid, and this one is just another worthy addition to their discography. Another one that I definitely need to spend way more time with. This just came out like middle of the month, and I haven't spent a ton of time with it. But yeah, this is just exactly what I want in this style of black metal when you're bringing in the keys and just the theatrics. But yeah, awesome Finnish melodicism with all of this other stuff going on. Great album in 3rd place. All right, we got 2 more to go. What could it be? In 2nd, Varathron with their new album, The Crimson Temple. So a band that probably needs no introduction, Greek black metal legends. And this is, yeah, another worthy addition to a long and stellar discography. They are just excellent at creating atmosphere throughout this album, and there's tons of variation from song to song. Like, they are not afraid of experimentation and trying some different things here. They've got very, like, complex and ambitious ideas thrown in with the straight ahead black metal, and they really just make it work. This is a very solid release from a very solid band. Definitely one worth checking out. This one would have easily been in the mix to make my favorite albums of the year. Once again, am I changing my list? No, probably not, but this one would have been in the mix for sure. Solid black metal release. All right, that just leaves one. My favorite album of the month is not a black metal release. It is just a traditional heavy metal release, but one that kicks ass, and that is Solitary Sabred with their new album, Temple of the Serpent. This band is from Cyprus, which is really cool, and this is a unique blend of, like, epic heavy metal, epic power metal, just straight ahead epic metal, I will call this. Think for fans of bands like Manowar, Attacker, but then with a major King Diamond influence, especially in the vocals. Like, the vocalist in this band has major range. He hits these super high pitches, and it floors you. Really awesome stuff. I've been a fan of this band for a while. Their last album was really good, and this one is stacked right up there with it. Yeah. Overall, outstanding vocals. Like, his performance here is just top notch. He's got crazy range. And it's not just say only the vocals are the shining moment here. Like, the musicianship is also great. Would this have made my year-end list? I think this one maybe could have snuck in there. I don't know. Once again, I keep repeating myself here. But yeah, I'm not changing my list. But this is a solid album. Easily my favorite of the month. Definitely one I strongly recommend you go check out if you're into just epic heavy metal at all, with great vocals and songs that will stick in your head because you'll be singing along. Amazing stuff. Anyways, rambling on long enough here. Those are my favorite albums from December. Let me know which ones I missed. Like I said, I missed probably a ton this month. I just didn't spend as much time exploring new music in December as I usually do, but I'm going to get back into the swing of things here in January. Lots of new albums coming out that I'm very excited for. I'm anticipating a very good year for metal in 2024, and you can look forward to a very good year full of my videos throughout. As usual, you'll probably get about one video every week, give or take. But yeah, until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out.